Hi there, welcome to my channel. My name is Rachel. In today's episode, I'm going to share with you some networking tips because as we all know, networking takes some strategic planning and effort. So the better you are at networking, the more likely you can find a great job and also expand your career horizon and meet a lot of interesting people. And that might also help you with your entrepreneurship venture and other things in life as well. So I'm going to share some networking tips that really benefited my career. If you like this episode, please subscribe to my channel, hit the like button, or leave some comments or suggestions in the comment section below. Greatly appreciate your help and support. Let's get started. Let me start off by introducing myself. I was born in China and I immigrated to the States when I was 11, and I grew up in New York. Now I live in New Jersey. I moved here last year during the pandemic. And I graduated from Baruch College in 2012. At the time, I studied industrial psychology, but I also did a bunch of marketing internships. So in total, I did 6 internships. And I ended up with an entry-level job at Mindshare, which is a digital agency. Started off as a digital analyst, but then later on realized I'm not really very great at number crunching, nor do I enjoy doing that type of job. So I transitioned my career several times. Used to work at Business Insider, Newstar. That's how I met Annie. We're former co-workers. Now I work for a global ad tech company as a senior marketing manager. And in my free time, I like to hustle. I like to try different things. So I co-founded a nonprofit organization called Techstar, which aims to help Chinese professionals in the US to grow their career, advance their career in corporate America. And we have monthly, used to, now it's kind of busy, but we used to have monthly offline meetups and online events around entrepreneurship, technology trends, marketing, and careers in finance. So diverse topics shared by different speakers in different industries. Nowadays, my focus has shifted more toward creating content for my YouTube channel. It's called Career Young Pros. Chinese name is 职场轻熟. I have published about 13, 14 videos on the topics of networking, interviewing skills. Lately published a video about how to improve your English skills, so check it out if you're interested. And all in all, I have 10 years of marketing experience. During that time, now I'm on to my 5th or 6th job, and I got 3 out of my jobs from referral or networking. So that just goes to show that networking definitely works, not just in terms of job hunting though, which I will explain shortly. And all in all, I have 4 years of career coaching experience. Now, I want to first tackle the common misconceptions about networking. I often hear people describe networking as just kind of the means to the end, just for short-term job hunting. Sometimes it's perceived as slimy or just using people to accomplish your goal of getting a referral, and that was it. And that's why for many people, networking is just kind of like a one-time thing. They do it, they get it over with, and they're done with it. Also, I hear sometimes from people who are more shy or introverted that it's hard for them. It's hard to push themselves to take initiatives and reach out to people, or especially strangers. And it seems like sometimes people believe that networking is either like an innate talent, a gift you have, or you don't. Like it should be natural, not forced. I'm here to dispel all these myths. I think networking can be completely easy for people who are starting from beginning, ground zero, because I was very shy before I started college, but my alma mater, Baruch College, basically pushed us to and encourage us to reach out to other people, introduce ourselves, build relationships. So I started to develop networking habits when I was in college. I started to set up my LinkedIn profile. At the time, I was like people in the wrong camp. I thought networking is just for a short-term job until I ran into like a wall or like a roadblock. I stopped keeping in touch with people after I got my first job, and when my first job didn't work out, I reached out to my connections A lot of people feel like I was just using them because I haven't talked to them in a while. So networking is really a long-term mindset and habit that you have to continue to work on. It's also a form of mutually beneficial relationship. I don't think networking should be one-way street, and that's usually why networking relationships don't really last long for certain people, because they only use it one time for their own gain, but they don't really reciprocate. It's also a skill set that can be cultivated and mastered, because I'm a living proof of it. I was shy and now I learned it. I read a lot of networking books. I signed up for a networking course, and over the years I just kind of polished the skill set, and now I can kind of share some experience with people. It definitely takes deliberate planning and follow-ups. It's not for people who are too lazy, who don't want to put in the effort, who just are looking for the shortcuts to win referrals or partnerships. In my mind, networking is a long game. So it's almost like you're going to the gym, not just to lose some weight, like 10 pounds in the short term. You want to shift your mindset to, I want to live a healthy lifestyle. I'm going to the gym maybe twice a week just to kind of maintain my body shape and stay healthy, but not to just lose 10 pounds and be done with it. It's also like growing your garden. Like, all your connections are like plants in your garden. You have to water them, you have to attend to them, you have to take care of them over time, and that's how they grow. I want to use some analogies here by comparing networking to dating and investing. It kind of hit me one day that networking is very similar to dating, because I met my husband through online dating app. So went through some online dating experience, and that's how I found a lot of similarities between the two. For one thing, like networking and dating, you have to put in the effort. No input leads to no output. But also at the same time, you have to be patient and consistent, because your effort doesn't always lead to immediate result, and it doesn't always go the way you want it. So whatever input you put into doesn't always lead to that direct output. Sometimes it all depends on timing and luck, but the more you do it, it's kind of a habit of it. At the same time, it's kind of like a numbers game. You have to do it. You have to work hard, but also smart. And the harder and the smarter you work, the more you stand out from the crowd, because you have to differentiate yourself from other competition. And once you're able to stand out from the crowd, you'll get better results. And you also have to know when it's time to cut your losses and stop contributing if the recipient is not responsive to your outreach. So that started with networking with the dating mindset. So first of all, like I mentioned, networking, it's like dating. So you might notice this, but a lot of people all want to network up or above their levels. So if you're just college graduate, you want to network with people who are much higher up in the social ladder than you. And if you're senior analyst, you want to network with manager, VP, that's understandable. Everyone's trying to do that. And that basically means that the senior people are getting a lot of attention, but people who are same level or lower level than you, they might not always get the attention they deserve. That's one thing. It's almost like dating. People want to, if you're a 5, you want to date like a 10, but the 10 has a lot of 5s and 6s and 7s and 8s to choose from as their candidate, potential suitors. So as much as it's about qualifications, I think it's also about chemistry, because like I mentioned earlier, networking, it's not just a one-time phone call, a short meeting, it's relationship building. And if the two people involved are not kind of clicking or hitting it off, it's harder to maintain that relationship long-term. I definitely experienced that many times. You can force it, you can kind of make the conversations flowing, but it's not natural. And probably after you finish that conversation, you don't really have a strong impression of each other. Like dating, you shouldn't appear as too needy, too aggressive, like too desperate. But at the same time, you also don't want to be too passive, because you're the one who is initiating this game. Like, you can't just wait for the other person to reach out and schedule the call with you. So I'll give you a very recent example. Someone reached out to me on LinkedIn. We have been connected for many years. He used to work in China. He's a very senior person. But then when he came back to the US, it's harder for him to find a job here because he's been out of the market for so long. And then he reached out to me suddenly one day and said, oh, I'm looking for this type of jobs. He didn't ask me to help him, but I initiated, like I offered to help him. I was like, oh yeah, maybe we can set up some time, but I don't really check LinkedIn that often. Why don't you text me and we can set up a time to chat? He just continued to respond to me in LinkedIn. Like he never kind of take the time to try to set up a call with me. So I just feel like, hey, if you're the one who's looking for help and you're the one who is trying to get something out of the other person, then you should take the effort to plan it out, to coordinate those meetings, to make it happen, to do the follow-ups. Like I mentioned earlier, I don't think networking or dating is purely a numbers game, because if you repeat the same mistakes over and over again, you're not going to get any results. Likewise, if you only do it in a very generic way without enough personalization, then casting the wide net, it's not necessarily efficient for your time in the long term, because it's not going to lead to effective results. So I always believe in you should rather like spend more time on the quality instead of the quantity, and do it in a very consistent way. Share like a networking, start tracking in a networking spreadsheet, and remind yourself, especially if you're in the job search stage, like you should start a spreadsheet and track the interactions you have with all the people that you reach out to for referral, so that you know the status, the progress, and you can get back to it. Finally, I think networking, it's like I mentioned earlier, it's not one-way street. Oftentimes it's more effective if you first seek to understand the other person's needs and wants and try to provide value and try to fulfill those needs and wants before even asking for something in return. When it comes to networking up with people who are in a higher position or have more desirable traits or are more popular, oftentimes these people are approached by many others, not just you. So a lot of times as human beings, we have this innate defense mechanism because our time and energy are limited. We can't address all the requests that are coming at us. We can't jump on a call. If I'm a VP, if everyone wants me to mentor them and help them with the job search or review their resumes, if everyone's asking for my help for free and not trying to return the favor or reciprocate, then I don't think I would have the time to help every single person. That's just the reality, because someone who's a VP likely will be in a very kind of busy stage of his or her life, already juggled with family and other responsibilities. So when the request comes in, the innate defense mechanism will push this person to prioritize. And in order to kind of stand out, you have to proactively address his or her questions and concerns. First of all, like, they might be wondering, so who are you? They might look you up on LinkedIn. When someone asks me on WeChat, especially if that person doesn't have like a very formal introduction, doesn't introduce to me like what's their first name, last name, how did they hear about me, where they work, I would usually try to look them up on LinkedIn, or at least accept their WeChat invitation, and then like sift through their WeChat circles to try to figure out like what kind of person this is. A lot of times people don't take the effort to make a kind of decent self-introduction. They are just adding people randomly without any kind of context and explain what they're trying to get out of this interaction. So second question naturally is, what are you trying to get out of me? Why did you pick me out of all the other people that you could potentially network with? So this happens very often when you're looking for a job at, let's say, JP Morgan. You reach out to Derek, but there are also a bunch of other people who work at JP Morgan. So why did you pick Derek specifically? Is it because you're interested in his particular job in project management, or is it because you guys are college alumni, like you want to reach out because you feel like alumni could provide you with better insights? Provide a reason. And when do you want to talk to them? Where are you going to meet? Or it could be online too, scheduling a call. But I think the more information you can provide to that person, the easier it make that person to make a decision, because the less effort and the thoughtfulness you put into this interaction, the more you place the burden on the other person. And I think as human beings, we can all tell if someone is thoughtful, considerate or not, and that would determine how the experience feels for the other person. Now goes to how to establish and broaden your network. I think certain people tend to behave more naturally and more themselves when they are in certain setting. They're more confident and easygoing when they're in the right environment and networking with other people who are similar to them in terms of personalities, in terms of preferences, in terms of behaviors. So choose certain settings that work in your favor. If you're someone who is more kind of serious, like me, like more formal, sometimes I think I'm more formal. Like I find it easier and higher success rate when I go to certain events that are more focused on serious topics, like recruiting events, industry association conferences, trainings or workshops, book clubs, professional meetups, LinkedIn groups, because people in those settings, like they share a common goal. They're trying to improve themselves. Now you may ask, what about like in the virtual world? Now that most of us don't really go to a lot of those offline events due to the pandemic. Well, things like Toastmasters, they have online, they continue to have online meetups for people who want to train their public speaking skills. And the great organizations like DMTT, we also have Sunday weekend events. And during those events, it's better for you to speak up and come early and talk to the speaker. You can still do that in the online world. Talk to the event host, talk to other people who arrive early, introduce yourself. That's how you can start your networking process. In an informal setting, I think it's easier to do it in an informal setting these days because people still go out for food, like drinking. They still meet their close friends in a small social circle. If people invite you to like a friend's dinner party or something, try your best to attend, especially now that you're vaccinated, or do some more outdoor activities. I found that more often these days. People don't want to be confined in the indoor space. They try to meet other people and network like outdoors. So join that. Also WeChat groups, even though sometimes it's just like kind of conversations in the WeChat group, but you can take that offline, meaning you can add that person directly on WeChat or on Facebook and start the conversation, more personalized interaction from there. So you can definitely still network in the pandemic world. I think if we go back to the normal, then you will see more choices for locations to network. Nowadays it's kind of limited, but it used to be, hopefully we can go back to what it used to be, that you can choose what type of associations and activities you want to do. I would pick the ones that I enjoy and I'm passionate about. So industry association, like I mentioned, I co-founded Techstars. If you want to join our group, feel free to let me know. I will leave my contact information towards the end so you can add me and then on WeChat and I can add you to the Techstars WeChat group. DMTT, I believe most of you are already in that group. Asia Society, if you're a Chinese American like me, you probably are interested in learning more about the US and China relations and like business opportunities between the two countries, things like that. So the last two, Asia Society and CKGSB Americas, I've often found their programming and events to be very helpful and beneficial for people who are Chinese Americans. Self-improvement, I mentioned earlier, Toastmasters. If you would like to improve your public speaking skills, then certainly join Toastmasters because it's not a nonprofit, but the membership fee is really not that expensive. They're not a sponsor for this webinar or video, but I always tell people to join Toastmasters. It will encourage you to speak to a large audience and be able to think on your feet and speak English more fluently, to be more articulate and more confident. Book clubs. I think there's still some book clubs here and there. Look them up. Meetups, Eventbrite, General Assembly, which provides training in many disciplines, including product management, digital marketing, analytics. I believe some of those organizations still have offline events. If not, then certainly join an online event. And I think in the online world, you just have to be more deliberate and more proactive and a bit more aggressive when it comes to introducing yourself to other people in the Zoom meeting. And volunteer, it used to be that I would pick some volunteer organizations. I used to volunteer with America Needs You, and I build relationships with some people through that organization. It's a organization, nonprofit, that requires 2 years of commitment. So during that time, I was always like in the same room, in the same space with many other mentors like me who work in different industries like finance, consulting, what else? Technology, those fields that I'm interested and curious to learn more about. Now, due to limited time, we're not able to cover networking as a topic in detail within this video. So I'm going to leave the second part, which is all about how to ask for a referral, how to do the phone conversation, and how to follow up properly after the phone conversation, all that great stuff in the next episode. If you like this episode, please like my video, subscribe to my channel, leave some questions or comments or suggestions in the comment section below, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Bye!